Well, hello there, Minecrafters. Have you ever built a mob system where after a while you stand at the bottom and you sit there thinking, where are all the mobs? Why is this thing not producing the way it should? And I'm pretty sure I've lit up every cave. I don't understand what's going on. Why am I not getting the drops I want, the XP I want? Well, that could be due to the game eventually capping out the mob count. What happens is the game says at a certain limit, you know what, I'm done, I cannot produce anymore. You're going to have to start killing these mobs that are already here before I give you any more. Well, a while ago there was an update where you could finally send mobs into the nether, and naturally Minecrafters took advantage of this and they said all my mobs from my mob trap are going to funnel into the nether. We can put them in an unloaded chunk where they won't despawn, and then the game can keep constantly renewing the mobs and kind of do a trade-off thing. They would go into the nether where they just pile up hundreds and hundreds, and then you could go into the nether and then kill them, take their XP, their drops, easy. Well, I started thinking, how do I get them to a very low health and then put them into the nether? Because that would be the easiest if I could just simply a couple hits at my kill chamber, take all their XP, piece of cake. I think I've come up with a design here that will help with that. The nice thing about this is that it can be attached to basically any mob system where you funnel them all into one area. What we want is the creepers, the skeletons, the zombies. So this system won't really work with spiders or endermen, but the creepers, skeletons, zombies, the 2-block tall mobs will be great because they can give you the XP plus the gunpowder and the bones and so forth. So let me just show you how this sort of thing kind of works. Up at the top here we have our water stream, and what would happen is your mob system, whether it be in the sky and dropping the mobs through a tube into this stream here, or down below underground and bringing them up through a water elevator, you're going to guide them into this stream, and it's going to push them off the edge here to this drop zone, which are going to land on a tripwire and be pushed off from a couple sticky pistons. Now the nice thing about this is that unfortunately, when mobs hit water, they take no damage. So to guide them to a nether portal by water from a high point didn't really work for keeping them at low health. But this system here has a 21.5 block drop, which they land on a couple slabs and then they're pushed off. So they take the damage and then they go to the stream, which will take them to the portal. The wiring is very, very simple. It's just a couple of tripwire hooks. Just activate this dust here to this little delay repeater, which is kind of important. I'll get into that later. But then it activates these 2 sticky pistons and it pushes out. Now, the reason I ended up using tripwires is because, well, we'll go over here and I want to show you this little test here. I've made this little demonstration here. The left lamp is tied to the tripwires and the right lamp is wired to the pressure plate, and I'm going to stand on both of them at the same time and these lights will come on. But what I found out was kind of interesting. You can notice the lamp that is wired to the tripwires actually goes off a lot quicker than the one with the pressure plate. Now that's important because over here with our pistons, we want these pistons to extend and retract as quickly as possible. Get the mobs off of the pad. Because if we have this extended, there's a chance that a mob could come down, land on the extended piston before it retracts, and that's going to prevent the mobs from getting as much damage as we can. And we want them as low as we can before we send them into the nether so that it's the least amount of hits, and it's very easy. Now, because we're using tripwires, the thing I noticed about tripwires is they are actually activated by drops. So that could be a problem. This is why we have to use slabs. If we had regular blocks up here, these items, if a mob came down and died for whatever reason, these items would stay here and constantly have this tripwire activated, which would leave these pistons extended, and then the mobs that came after, they would simply stand up here and wait around until those bottom items despawned. So we don't want that. We want them to get on and off as quickly as possible. Now, that delay in the back here. This, I did some testing and it does seem to help. Just a 1-tick delay, maybe a 2-tick delay might be even better, but there is a chance when a mob comes down here, because we're not at a full block, he could hit that tripwire before he takes the damage of the slab and be pushed off, and he wouldn't quite take the most amount of damage that we can have. So we have a little delay in the back that will definitely let them hit the bottom and then be pushed off. We're up here at the 21.5 block drop. Now that number is very important in this system because when we're dealing with mob drops and death and XP, a 24 block drop will kill the mob if it's a zombie, skeleton, or creeper. So we need a 23 block drop or less for that mob to live. Now, when we're dealing with water, so if we have a water stream like this in our system pushing it off, I think the water either acts like a block or they jump off, or for whatever reason we have to take that block into the equation. So we would need a 22 block drop for them to be living or less. Now the left one here is a 22.5 block drop and the right one is a 21.5 block drop. And when I was doing some testing, what I found out is that when the mobs landed on the 22.5 block drop, most of them actually ended up dying. Some survived, but most of them died. And the 21.5 block drop, they all lived. So in order to get their XP, we have to have them living. The downside is because it's a half block, it may take more hits. They may not be quite at a half a heart, but I think it's worth it to sacrifice a little bit of health for the XP. We definitely do not want them to die. Okay, now just to show you how you can hook this design up with any type of mob system, I've created Ethos Practical Mob System. I'll link it in the description of how he builds it. And it's up there, and basically the mobs will drop down their regular chute, but instead of going to a kill chamber, they go to our little trench here. Then they get pushed off to our 21.5 block drop, which brings it down to our piston pusher there, and then they would go into what would be a Nether Portal there, where we could send them to a kill chamber. Now I would suggest putting a roof over here, just because you can see they're jumping and trying to fight it. We add a little roof, and then there should be no problem. And we'll just send them off to the void. So here we have another very popular mob system. It's by Monkey Farm. It's the Mobs on Demand system. I will also link that in the description just so you can see how he built it and check out his videos. And it works the same way, hooking up our piston pusher for the mobs. Instead of them dropping down to a kill chamber, they simply go to our water trench down our 21.5 block drop and get pushed off, and your Nether Portal will kind of be hooked up like so. The nice thing I like about Monkey Farm's system is that he has it equipped with a water pushing dispensers that push the mobs off the pads. So when I press this button, I've also rigged up this little dispenser here that will let us know the water's on. It's going to wash all the mobs off of the pads, and they'll drop down here. And it'll be pushed into the Nether Portal. And you can see with this little roof here, they can't really swim back against the current. But here they start to come, and I don't know what happened there. Little lag or something, but you can see they're being pushed off. All at a very low health into our little kill chamber. Bye guys, have a good trip. So once you've got all that set up, the last thing you need to do is set up your kill chamber and your entrance into the Nether. And the way we do that is we hit F3 and we look at our coordinates of where we've placed our portal. Now it's looking like it's, let's see, 559 by 393. So negative 559 by 393. And we go through the Nether, and we're gonna have we're gonna pop out somewhere here. Ooh, little low frame rate there. So if we take that number, divide by 8, we're going to end up with something. I've got 70 by 49, negative 70 by 49, and this portal isn't quite going to line up. So we may have to move this to the location that matches exactly. So I've moved our portal, our mob portal, over there. Once we do that, we can actually get rid of this portal and make the mob entrance over here, and that will line up in the overworld. Now you have to look at where you want to have your entrance to the kill chamber. So our kill chamber is going to be here. We don't want to go any further that way because we're full of lava. We're actually quite far down in the nether, but we want to go this way. So if we look at our coordinates, we're going negative 67, negative 66, so we're actually going up in value. So in the overworld, we have to look at where we're going to go up, and up is over this way. So we have to build our entrance portal over here, and that's a calculation done with times by 8 by the number in the nether. So I'm going to set that portal up and show you how it's going to look. Alright, so our entrance portal ended up being way down there, so remember that every block you move in the nether equals 8 blocks in the overworld, so your portal is going to be quite a bit of distance out there depending on where you put it in the nether. But they are lined up, and what this is going to be is, this is where the mobs are going to come in, and this is where we are going to come in. You can see here we pop through here, and we end up on our entrance. And that's going to be okay because basically this spawner should be in the middle of our base and we'll be just busy doing whatever we want. And then we'll run over to the portal here to go and kill them. Now, I did have an issue linking them height-wise. I had previously read that the height is not an issue, but I could not put this portal lower and link them properly. So if you're having that trouble, you may have to put them at the same level. But you'll notice we have this drop, and that drop's important just for the little design that I made to get the mobs into a kill chamber. So I'm going to show you how I do that, but you got to make sure that you have underneath the obsidian a 2-block drop and then a landing spot here. You're standing on the 3rd block here. So let me show you that design next. Finally, we have the mob killing chamber in the nether that we want to build. This, the purpose of this is just to have all the mobs walk through the portal and end up in one contained area. They're already low in health, so we can simply go up to them and just punch them, take their XP, take their drops, and it all works good. So the way that I do it is I just put a block here, one here, and one here, and I copy the other side. And the other step is you have to have a back on this portal so that the mobs can only walk one direction. So once we have that in place, we put a couple tripwire hooks here, and we put some string. So now when the mobs walk forward, they activate this tripwire, which is important to that. Then I put a couple slabs down at the bottom so the tripwire can still activate properly, but the mobs cannot go left or right, they can only come forward. Then we need a torch on one of these sides, doesn't matter which one, we'll just pick that. Then we make some blocks for some wiring of the pistons out to there. Then we put our pistons underneath here, and we simply wire it like so, like so, like so, and there we are. And then now what happens is the mobs will come in, activate that tripwire, and the pistons will push back, they'll retract, and they will move the floor from under them. So I would suggest using glass as your floor, just because if the pistons extend quicker than they fall, we don't want to kill the mobs, we don't want to suffocate them, we want to kill them ourselves and take their XP. So once you have that done, you probably just cover it up so they can't go anywhere else really. And let's do this here, like so. Now they can't go anywhere else except in that chamber. Drop down, and then we just add the sides of the chamber. Make it look nice and pretty with this quartz. And then we simply add a front to this, so now when you see the mobs, they can't see you. So you can simply just punch them under here. So what that looks like for a mob, if we go back to our portal, they're coming through this one, remember, all the way over here. And they're going to see this, and they're going to have to walk this way, and of course I've already fallen down. So I'm stuck in this chamber, nowhere to go, and then the player can come, or you can come and simply hit them and take all their XP. So there will be hundreds and hundreds piled up here because they don't despawn. Let's go see this little gizmo in action. So here we are back at the spawner, and we are going to hit the water stream and have our mobs come down and enjoy their new home at our little chamber built for them. So remember, they're going to come and hit our stream up there, and then they're going to drop down to our 21.5 block drop and enjoy a very low health trip to the Nether. And there's the first one. He drops down. So you see we have quite a few coming down now. And they're going to just simply go straight into the portal. Very simple. So we'll go over into our portal way over here just to see the end result. And we will be happy to accept their generous donation of XP and drops. And you can see here we have quite the amount already. Now they're not popping through, that's a visual glitch, but just as you can see, I'm already getting XP, one hit kill. Very simple, there's a drop. Very easy. Now, there is a bit of an issue if the tripwire gets hit too quickly, the pistons will not actually stick to it. So you may want to just add a little button that you can pull out manually and reset it if there's a problem. Or if you have a better design idea, shoot me a message. Love to hear it. Or a video reply or something. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little design. I hope it helps you with your farm. I think it's a great enhancement, a great attachment for any farm. But other than that, enjoy your Minecrafting and have a great day.